Sometimes the silence gets too loud. It's like your mind starts running laps in the quiet, replaying everything you tried to leave behind. I should have done today. God, why can't I focus? I still have so much to do. Why haven't I focused? Sometimes the silence doesn't bring peace. It just gives your thoughts more room to echo. Did I do enough? What's wrong with me? I didn't do this. I've done enough. You're not. So you reach for the one thing that reminds you of who you are. The sound, the rhythm. Sometimes peace isn't found in the quiet. Sometimes it is found in the noise. And sometimes you just need something to pull you back. So the noise finally makes sense again. What's up, y'all? It's the second son here, or Destructo Jugo, whatever you want to call me. That's really not important right now. Bet you're wondering why I've been gone from this channel for so long. The answer to that is very complicated, and I'm not going to get into the entire story right now, but long story short, I kind of fell out of love with filmmaking and only recently fell back in love with it and decided to repurpose this channel, or not really repurpose, but more like revisit this channel and use it as a personal diary on my journey as a filmmaker now that I've really fallen back in love with it. But none of that is really important, because today I want to talk about one of the most important things that a young filmmaker that's just starting out needs to do in order to drastically increase their skill set: filming yourself. It took me a really long time to realize the importance of filming yourself as a filmmaker. I had this conception that being a filmmaker or videographer or whatever meant that it was your job to come up with these big elaborate video ideas that required 5 people in 6 locations and all this gear and things like that. And that's just simply not true, because it's not very sustainable. When you're just starting out, you don't have that many resources, you don't have that many people to call on, and you're not really going to be getting a consistent enough amount of work to actually get better with filmmaking by just doing paid work or very specific elaborate videos. It wasn't until very recently that I learned the importance of filming yourself, doing videos by yourself with your camera and your tripod, and how that'll make you a much better filmmaker than you could possibly imagine, especially if you're consistent enough. And today I want to talk about that a little bit, and I want to give a few tips on how to film yourself in a way that isn't just full of repetition, that allows you to grow as a filmmaker in your skill set. Please keep in mind, these are things that worked for me, and I am still very much a work in progress. This isn't me coming to you as this big expert that has all the answers. These are some of the things that have just worked for me, and there's some things that I'm suggesting to other people in case they want to try the methods that I used. But before I get to my personal tips on how to film yourself, I want to first talk about why it's important as a filmmaker, especially a developing one, to film yourself in the first place. The thing about filmmaking, like any other craft or any other art form or any other form of expertise, is that it requires intensive studying and intensive repetition, intensive doing. You need to actively continue to do the thing that you are trying to get better at a consistent level over and over and over in order for you to see any real progress within that space. And it also builds and deepens your instincts for the basics of filmmaking, things like composition and exposure, and just knowing how to handle a camera, and more importantly, feeling confident with handling a camera and getting a deeper connection with your specific camera, because I swear the connection between a filmmaker and their camera is real. Now that we know why it's important to film yourself as a filmmaker, let me go over some of the things that I do when I film myself that help me be a better filmmaker. The first thing that you need to do when you're filming yourself is experiment. The main thing that I make sure I'm always doing when I'm filming myself, regardless of where I'm filming or what I'm actually doing, is making sure that I'm experimenting in as many ways as I can, either with the lighting of a shot, the composition, maybe I'm experimenting with colors, maybe I'm experimenting with the shadows, maybe I'm experimenting with the highlights and seeing how much I can push them before I lose detail, or seeing how far I can push the shadows before I lose detail, or seeing how far I can push the shadows with losing detail and the shot still stays interesting. One of the most important things that you can do when you're filming yourself, and one of the most important things that I do, is just actively think about the image that I'm trying to create in my head, instead of just turning my camera on and recording whatever I see. And as it goes with experimenting, sometimes the shit's gonna suck. The shit's gonna be ass. I have so many shots that I spent hours and hours of time setting up and setting the lights and practicing experimenting with the composition for, just for them to turn out to be god awful. And sometimes the shots that I create as a result of my work in progress, they're gonna suck, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, that's the point. Which actually brings me to the second most important thing about filming yourself, which is pretty much similar to experimenting. Shoot with intention. All the time. Don't just pull out your camera for the sake of pulling it out. For me, I try to make sure that every time I'm pulling out my camera to record, it's either specifically because I want to capture this really good composition that I can see with my eyes, or I want to test out this new lighting technique that I've been thinking about all week, or I like the colors of that sidewalk and I want to see how they would pair with the clothes that I'm wearing, so I'm going to run home and grab my camera. The point is, you have to think creatively about your shots, and you have to shoot with intention. You have to shoot knowing what you want to see out of the camera. Which brings me to my next big helpful tip, and something that has really helped me in terms of being a better filmmaker and getting more comfortable with filming myself, is that start with one shot. You don't have to have the whole idea for the type of video that you're going to make. The short film that I played at the beginning of this video, the Sony spec ad that I made, it didn't start off with me intending to make a Sony spec ad. It was 11 p.m. on a weekday, and I had a very specific shot in my mind, which was the opening shot of the short film that I wanted to capture, and I just kept going from there. What you'll find when you start filming yourself is that the creative ideas flow after you started, not before. Shoot that first shot that you have in your head, and then do another, and then do another. And then you keep going, and then you keep going, and the ideas build upon themselves until at the end you've built a complete video, one that you can be proud of. And I'm being so serious when I say that Sony spec ad came out of absolutely nowhere. Like, I didn't plan it, and you can kind of tell with that in mind going back and watching the video, because if I had planned it, it would look a little different. But for what it is, I'm really proud of it, and it's some of my best work ever in a lot of ways, not just the cinematography, but the sound design. But that came from just me experimenting and me shooting with intention, and me deciding to film myself like I did the week before, and the week before that, and the week before that. Filming by yourself offers a creative freedom to me that is honestly addicting. I kind of love being a one-man band. Not that I don't like working with others. As a matter of fact, working with others in the pursuit of my films is some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. But I also really enjoy just the slow and simple and solitary process of pulling out your camera in your house and just recording. I can play my music on my speakers and just vibe out creating art. Filming myself has also allowed me to really fall in love with static frame cinematography, and I can't go back. I love static frame cinematography so much. Having a camera sit on a tripod in the stillness and the only movement being from the subjects within the frame offers a type of intimacy between the audience and the camera that I can't get in any other type of cinematography. And I've grown to really love it because they feel like moving portraits. They feel deeply artistic and deeply personal. But that's a topic for another video. The final tip is, dog, have fun. Bro, have fun. I think what helped me really fall in love with filmmaking and get a lot better as a filmmaker and fall in love with filming myself is because this shit is fun. This shit is fun if you let it be. It's fun to experiment and try new things and see what works. So just to recap on some of my tips on the best way to get better at filmmaking by filming yourself. Number one, experiment often. Experiment with lighting, composition, colors, so on and so forth. Number two, shoot with intention. Have a shot in mind that you're trying to capture. Number 3, have fun. You have to have fun. There's no other piece of advice that you take away from this video. It's that you should have fun, because having fun and enjoying the process of creating will make you a much better artist, filmmaker, or whatever than not having fun. So if you're a filmmaker at home or wherever you are watching this video, I challenge you to grab your tripod, grab your camera, turn it on, and just create. Create with intention. Remember to experiment, and most importantly, have fun.